Hello and welcome everybody to Civils 360. My name is Veer Pratap Singh and I welcome you all. My dear friends, in this session, we are going to be talking about an important event that is associated with the modern Indian history. Why? Because it is a very significant thing, okay, associated with the syllabus of the modern Indian history. Why? Because guys, if you can just correlate to the idea, okay, here, let me just tell you the thing that the UPSC, okay, in its syllabus, okay, if you have read the syllabus, you might have understood that the UPSC, it is clearly telling that they are going to ask you what? They are going to ask you significant events. Okay, they can ask you significant events, significant personalities, and significant issues. Okay, so here in this session, we shall be talking about a significant event that happened in the year of 1905. Okay, and this particular significant event, it left a very deliable impact, okay, in the coming time period. And the event, okay, it is going to be somewhat of a churning ground of the political movements, of the future political movements that are going to happen in the country. Okay, so let's just start with this particular scenario. Okay, so in the today's session, my dear friends, we shall be discussing on the Swadeshi movement. Okay, we shall be discussing on the Swadeshi movement. However, let me just tell you something associated with the Swadeshi movement and something on the backdrop of it, that what happened in the background that led to the creation of the Swadeshi movement. Why? Because, my dear friends, just try to understand this, that what is history actually. We are already very much aware about that the history is going to be a very intricate relation of cause and effect. Okay, so whatever is the effect today, okay, it is going to have a cause in the past, and that cause could be a effect of a certain cause that happened much earlier, and that could be a certain effect for something that could have happened much earlier. So it is what? Cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect. So history is this. We are also aware that what is history? It is a chronological study of all the historic events, of all the important events that have occurred in the past. So here also, when we are talking about the Swadeshi movement, so this particular movement, it is going to emerge during the time period of 1905. However, it is not on, it is not going to just start it on the 1905. Something might have happened right in the past that would have led to the start of the Swadeshi movement. Okay, we'll also look into the basic facts. What is the meaning of Swadeshi? What is the idea and everything? But prior to that, we also need to understand that what is the ideology of it? What is the ideology of Swadeshi? And who are the people who are going to bring the idea of Swadeshi here? So when we talk about this idea, let us just understand that, okay, here, when we talk about this aspect, so here what happened is that we are aware that in the year of 1885, there was the first pan-India level political association, that is the Indian National Congress, that was created. Now, the Indian National Congress, when it was created, the Indian National Congress, it is the political party, and within this political party, there were multiple people who are going to be members of this political outfit. Now, this political party INC, it was created to increase nationalism within the country and to demand the various rights and to demand the various things from the Britishers for the Indians. So the INC, the Indian National Congress, it is going to have within itself the members, and those members, they were known as nationalists. Now those nationalists, that means the nationalistic leaders like Dadabhai Nauroji, okay, Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee, Baharuddin Tayyabji, Surendranath Banerjee, all of these people. Okay, so these people, they were known as nationalists. Now we can divide those nationalists into two sections. One is going to be known as the moderates, another it is going to be known as the extremists. Now when we talk about the moderates and the extremists, okay, means the Congress was dominated by moderate nationalists at one point of time, and the Congress was dominated by extreme nationalists at another point of time. Okay, and if I divide the time frame, you might be aware, as you have already done the INC, that it is going to be from the time period of 1885 till the time period of 1905. And the Extreme Nationalistic Congress phase, it is going to be from 1905 till 1911 or 1918. Means you can, the end time it is somewhat debatable. Okay, so we can also talk on that particular scenario. Now you might be wondering that why am I dividing both of these? Okay, because during this time period, whatever activities the INC did, okay, those activities, they were dominated by the moderate nationalists. And whatever, and by the time period of 1905, the moderate nationalists, they failed to fulfill their demands in its true essence. Okay, they failed in their aims and objectives. That is why a new phase is going to start, that is going to be the extreme nationalistic phase. That means the extremist nationalistic leaders, now they came to power and they are going to start the movements. So here when we talk, okay, we are aware that the moderate nationalists, they were the people who got their demands fulfilled through constitutional methods, through constitutional methods. And those constitutional methods were 3 P's, that is petition, prayer and propaganda. Petition, prayer and propaganda. So these were the 3 constitutional mechanisms through which the moderates got their demands fulfilled. For example, if they had any demand to be fulfilled from the Britishers, they would, what they would do is that they would write a petition, or they would plead in front of the Britisher, or they would create awareness amongst the people so that they can also write the petitions and all to the British, so that their demands could be fulfilled or any particular thing could be rectified. So that was the constitutional mechanism. But what we talk on the extremist is that the extremists, they are going to focus on the extra constitutional mechanism. Okay, now the question is that we are talking about moderates being in this timeline and extremists being in this timeline. If I'm telling you that the moderates, in order to get their demand fulfilled, they adopted the constitutional method, so many of you might wonder that was there a prevalence of constitution at that point of time? So yes, there was a prevalence of constitution. Now do not correlate that thing with the current Indian constitution. Okay, what is a constitution? A constitution, it is a document which, a constitution, it is a document that has or that contains laws, rules, regulations that help to govern the country. So obviously the Britishers, when they were ruling at that point of time, obviously the Britishers would also have certain laws, rules and regulations, right, to govern the country. And those laws, rules and regulations, it would also have certain mechanisms which could include that if the population has certain issues with certain type of laws, how they could connect with the government for their grievances. So that mechanism was known as constitutional mechanism. Like in today's time, if we have certain issues, we file a FIR and then the court verdict and all of those things are there. So that is what constitutional. But when we talk about extra constitutional, here also what it means is that, like the moderate nationalists who tried to get their demands fulfilled through a constitutional manner, and the moderates, okay, the moderates, they are going to be non-violent. The moderates, they are going to believe in non-violence. Similar to them, even the extremists, they were the people who believed in non-violence. Okay, here the moderates believed in the constitution. Okay, that means the laws, rules and regulations that were created by the British, so the moderates believed in them. Similarly, here also the extremists also believed in the constitution. That means the laws, rules and regulations that were created by the British, but in order to get their demands fulfilled, the extremists adopted 2 extra constitutional methods. Now, what were those extra constitutional methods? It means that whatever things are mentioned in the constitution, okay, the moderates had already tried it, but because they failed, then the extremists came to power. So the moderates had already tried the constitutional and the constitutional methods were not working. So the extremists now decided to take the extra constitutional methods. That means the things that were not mentioned within the constitution, we shall be adopting to those methods to get our demands fulfilled. And the extra constitutional methods would also be non-violent in nature. For example, strikes. Obviously, the government would not want strikes to happen. Obviously, the government would not want boycott to happen. Obviously, the government would not want, stoppage of things to happen. So here, okay, in the extra constitutional, what happened is that these extremist leaders or the extremist people, they told that in order to get our demands fulfilled, we will follow the things that are not acceptable by the constitution, or that are not supported by the constitution, or are not mentioned within the constitution, but they are also non-violent and has a purpose. So that means strike. We would follow boycott, that is boycott of British products. We would follow Swadeshi. Okay, that means Atmanirbharta, that means Atma Shakti. Atma Shakti. We would follow, okay, resignations. We would follow we will follow disobedience, that is disobeying the laws and all and everything. So these were what? These were extra constitutional methods that they were speaking about. So here what do we understand is that from the time period of 1885 till 1905, the moderate nationalists, in order to fulfill their particular constitutional, in order to fulfill their aims and objectives, what they are going to do is that they are going to focus on the constitutional methods. How and during this particular point of time, what happens is that they are going to be, utilizing various other mechanisms here. Means they are going to start demanding from the Britishers various, reforms that were to happen in the polity, in the economy, in the society, in the other parts. Okay, and throughout throughout the span of 20 years, they are going to be doing that. Now what happened is that, just try to understand this, between 1885 to 1905, when the moderate nationalists, they started demanding from the Britishers various things at that point of time, okay, even the people, the common people, they are becoming aware. Okay, they are becoming aware about the work of the moderates, and because they are becoming aware, the common people, they are also becoming politically educated. Now what does politically educated mean? It means that the people are becoming aware as to the laws or anything that was done by the British, how detrimental it was for the people, how it negatively impacted the people, how it how could it be solved, what needs to be done. So this was the scenario. So when the people, they got to know the issues under the colonial rule, okay, the people's rising consciousness also arose the unity within the people. That means the Britishers, when harassed the people of UP and harassed the people of Maharashtra, so both the areas people, they got to know that we have the same oppressors, and when they got that consciousness, they felt the pain, and that feeling of pain was a uniting factor for them. And overall, if I say, the work that was done by the moderate nationalists between this time period, it led to the rise of nationalism. The rise of nationalism. And when there was the rise of nationalism, okay, so there was one area which was known as Bengal. Bengal, it was considered to be the nerve center of Indian nationalism. Okay, nerve center of Indian nationalism. Why was that? It was because that Bengal, it is going to have a lot of nationalistic leaders who had arisen and who were carrying out activities against the British. And also Bengal, it had the increasing nationalistic consciousness within the people. Okay, so because of this, now what happened is that the Britishers, okay, when they understood that